Hey guys, it's Jules here with True Crime Reactions. I've watched some news clips and seen some stuff going on Twitter. Annie Elise gave me some interesting information in her episode today that I feel like needs to be discussed because it's sort of out there. First, I have some clips from an interview that Kaylee's dad did with Good Morning America. I'm going to play a few of them and then give you my thoughts. So let's go ahead.
It was fast. And nobody suffered and nobody felt like that kind of pain.
So right here, he says that no one felt anything. Like the victims didn't suffer when they passed away. But that's interesting because Xana's dad came out and stated that he was told his daughter had defensive wounds. So those are two conflicting statements.
I know the girls reached out via texting and calling, so I can only assume that by the phones being ignored, knowing how my daughter is not going to ignore calls and texts.
Okay, so right here, that kind of gives us a little bit more insight into what happened before the 911 call, kind of, because a lot of people have asked about why all we're hearing is about an unconscious person. So him stating here that it was simply because she wasn't answering the calls or texts and that's just what was assumed.
Not by police, but by family members on campus.
Let's call Maddie. And then you realize Maddie's gone too.
It's interesting that a family member that didn't live there in the house where it happened was able to tell the family about it before law enforcement was able to contact next of kin.
Before getting a ride home together in what Steve described as a sorority designated driver service.
So right here we actually get some clarification on the way that the girls got home that night. It wasn't an Uber, it wasn't a friend, it was for a designated college organized ride service. So at least we have that clarification. And we already know from the press conference that whoever this person was, that person has been cleared. But at least we know now exactly what it was. I don't understand what the big deal about that was. Kaylee's sister did an update interview with News Nation, and she mentions how law enforcement has finally updated the official timeline to reflect what the family has been pushing.
Is that they did officially update the timeline to reflect Kaylee and Maddie getting home at 1:56 a.m.
Now this actually shows on the official website to have been updated on November the 27th to now show the girls got home at 1:56 a.m. And that matters. That's 11 minutes past the original time that law enforcement was pushing that they got home. Now, what's interesting to me is that we only have a timeline of Ethan and Xana being at that party from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and law enforcement still claiming that they got home at 1:45. So that means that they have from 9 p.m. to 1:45 of not knowing where Ethan and Xana were for all those hours. How can they verify if they got home at 1:45? I'm just going to hope that they have proof of that. Because with the girls' timeline being off by 11 minutes, like I said, minutes matter. The family has seemed pretty adamant that Kaylee's ex-boyfriend is not involved in this at all. And she seems to be maintaining that now that law enforcement has begun clearing people.
I could not be any happier to see that they have cleared him. From the beginning, I knew that it wasn't him, and I'm happy that they're focusing their attention somewhere else now. I
do feel the tone in her voice a little bit different when she answers the same question regarding the roommates.
I hope that they are doing well, and I can only trust law enforcement has done their due diligence in all of the people that they've cleared thus far.
The word targeted has been used in this case from the very beginning, and I can imagine that has to weigh heavy on each family. Because you have to wonder, I would, as a parent in their situation, wonder if it was my child that was the target that drew this conclusion. And that's a hard thing to think about, but that is a reality whenever there are 4 separate people here. And you can only wrap your mind around the fact that one person had to be someone's obsession and then everyone else was collateral damage, because that's normally how these stories go, right? This is the way that they've answered it most recently.
I think what we have been very consistent in saying is that we believe that this was targeted. We have not come out and said it's targeted to one person or to multiple people. That's all part of that investigation that ultimately will come out. But just right now, it's pretty pertinent to our investigation.
Now, Brian Enton apparently had a discussion about this exact situation and received this answer.
And you've heard them say that this was a targeted murder. I am told by the prosecutor that they don't have any evidence of which victim was specifically targeted. They just feel the house in general was targeted.
If law enforcement thinks that it's the house itself that was targeted, then why not let the families know that? It would stop them from feeling like this.
Law enforcement is kind of throwing around this term targeted, but we don't know what that means. And it almost makes it feel alienating because we don't have any more information on that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Now, on the official website, in the reporting updates, it states that law enforcement found a dog on the night that the incident took place. But we all know that law enforcement got there like around noon, because the 911 call was at, I believe, 11:58 in the morning. And the incident itself did happen in like the dark time hours. So I just think that that was like a verbiage slip on their part, and for some reason it just hasn't been corrected. And it kind of does matter, because if law enforcement is trying to claim that the dog was found later on at night after hours and hours of the crime scene already being looked at, and then suddenly the dog shows back up, then that would lead people to believe that the dog was let out of the house on purpose or escaped the house during the incident and then found its way back home. But in this report that was on Fox, he talks about how the dog was seen basically as soon as law enforcement got there.
Indeed, there was a dog at the residence. Once the officers came, the dog was taken to Animal Services, where then a responsible person came and picked up the dog.
I've seen a lot of people questioning it, so I wanted to go ahead and just talk about it on here. I don't know if it really matters, but it could. Now let's talk about this lady. Today, when I was watching 10 to Life with Annie Elise, she mentions in her episode that this woman is an imposter reporter. The paper that she's claiming to work for, they denounced this woman on their Facebook page. So I went and grabbed the screenshot here. And as you can see, they're claiming they don't know who this is. They have no idea who this woman is. No one that works for them or that is associated with them was at that press conference, and they're calling for her to cease in her actions. If you haven't already watched my press conference breakdown, I mention this lady. I bring up her question because she is the one that talks about the behavioral analyst and someone building a profile, and she asks if a female being the perpetrator has been taken off the table. And I mention how they are having a profile built and that they'll share it as soon as they feel like they're able to, but that the perpetrator being a female question was completely glanced over. Well, that was her. That's this imposter reporter. Should she be on the suspect list? Because that's really kind of creepy. Now, we have a vigil coming up, and a lot of people are really worried that whoever is responsible for this might actually show up. Pretty much every single expert that I've listened to an interview of is claiming that they believe whoever did this knew the layout of the house. They knew their way around, which would make it so they were able to pull this off as what is still being suspected as a single person who took out 4 people. If they knew the layout of the house so well in order for them to be able to play this out, why leave 2 survivors? And if the house is actually the target and not anyone in particular, was there actually an intention of taking out the full house? If the house itself was the target, then that means that this person could be anyone that is utterly psychotic and still out there with no signs leading to who they are. Let's hope that some updates come soon and that nothing else happens before this person is caught. See y'all. And I'd also like to remind you guys that I am doing a gift card giveaway for the holidays instead of doing the usual charity donations to cases that we've covered on this channel. The giveaway instructions are on the update for Quentin Simon that I posted a few days ago, and I'm going to be announcing the winner 7 days, 1 week, from the date that the video was posted. I'm going to have a link in the description box, so go ahead and head over there so that you can find out what you need to do in order to be entered into the contest. There's going to be 2 $50 gift cards given away to either Target, Amazon, or Walmart. Winner's choice.